say everything's okay.
Hello, I'm Ilana Levine, host of Little Known Facts. I've always been inspired by people who love what they do. On this podcast, I speak with actors who you love to watch do what they love to do. Little known fact about my guest today. He was a terrible limo driver, constantly getting lost and running out of gas. Good thing he became an actor. Welcome, Mad Men's John Slattery.
Everything's okay.
Congratulations on Mad Men.
Oh, thanks.
Well done. You were very good.
That was really all me, too. I was like, I am to be congratulated for that.
You should, because you wrote it and you directed it and
That's
you
right.
starred in it and you played a lot of parts at once.
I cooked it all up out of I wrote it in the Beverly Hills Public
It
Library
was crazy. And then you
15 years ago.
sent it in a manila envelope with a stamp to AMC and they bought it.
And Matt Weiner intercepted it.
I'm sorry, who?
And and then he put his name on it.
That is so uncool. I am mad at him.
I am so furious.
I am mad at him.
Yeah.
And we're not to speak of it again. We're done.
I just decided that I was going to take the high road and let him get all the credit for it.
That's so sweet of you.
It hasn't been easy. All these awards that he's gotten should be mine.
So that's why every time they say, and the winner is, I see you start to stand up, and then you're like, oh, no, I
And then
can't.
Matt
I'm
gets
going to.
up. Yeah.
I have a question for you, speaking of awards.
Yeah.
You were just in Spotlight, which won the Oscar for Best Movie in the World right now. Let's be honest.
Best movie in the world.
Best movie in the world.
Yeah. It's right.
Amazing. Tom McCarthy is an old friend of both of ours.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of staggering and amazing that he did such a thing.
Incredible.
Yeah. Do you, when you are an actor in a movie that wins Best Movie in the World, do you get an Oscar?
Yeah.
Has it arrived?
No, I'm only kidding. You don't get an Oscar.
You don't? What
No.
do you get, a certificate?
I don't even know if you get a
on
certificate.
Field Day? On Field Day, everybody gets, great job participating.
You get a half a blue ribbon. You get not even a full ribbon. You get a half a one. Fourth place. Congratulations.
Good for you. This is America. That's as good as first place.
Yeah.
Good for you.
You were there.
You were so in that movie. You really were so in that movie. You were so magnificent in that movie.
Nice.
I've watched it more than once. Are you Catholic? Did you grow up Catholic?
I did, yeah. I was an altar boy the whole bit.
Yeah. So, I don't know you as a practicing Catholic.
No, I haven't been forever. It's basically as soon as I got my driver's license and said, okay, I'm off to church. And
right.
went the other direction.
Didn't go.
No.
Do you remember when we went to, was it Gilgo?
Yeah.
Do you remember when I got caught in the ocean?
I wish that we had that on film.
Could you describe to
I'm
the
gonna
audience,
describe the audience
what happened and what it looked like?
So Ilana is swimming like old ladies swim with their toes up, she's sort of circling her hands. She's underwater up to her shoulders, and her toes are up like old ladies do. And we're standing on the beach. It's the 4th of July, drinking a beer. And then all of a sudden, not even a wave, but a swell came up. So she went from sort of, if you're standing on the beach, she's, waist high because she's a little down, the cant of the beach in the water. And then all of a sudden she rises up to over my head. And I'm standing there drinking this beer. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, look, Ilana's above my head now. And she's still with the toes in the water, like doing this, but looking back over her shoulder toward where she was bound to land. And then this thing deposits her on the beach in about 6 inches of water, but about 150 gallons of water land on you. You were wearing a Moschino bikini.
It was a good bikini.
And you landed with the force of all that water. And I remember thinking, I'm looking up at you, and I thought, it was so slow, sort of slow motion, that I have time to get my camera, that I thought I could reach down. It was before cell phone cameras.
Yes.
That's how long ago this was.
Yes.
And I could reach down onto the towel and shoot the picture of you above my head before you landed. And you were literally like, ooh, and you landed. And the thing is, you were landed 3 feet from everybody. We were standing there eating potato chips, and you were so traumatized by this. It was unbelievable. And you spent the rest of the 4th of July in the car. You went in and sat in the car. We were having a cookout, and we're like, "Where's Ilana?" Oh, she's in the car. She wants to leave. You had like your bag on your lap. You were ready to go.
Because in my experience of it, first of all, it was literally like I was in a dryer. Like I'd been put in a dryer.
Totally. I mean, it's unbelievable that you could be 3 feet away and having an entirely different experience than us going, "Oh, look at Ilana. She's up in the air."
But I was trying desperately to signal to you guys.
Right. I know. You're
all waving at me.
Catch me. Something. It was, and you landed like on the back of your neck. I mean, it was like with feet up in the air. And I mean, it was unbelievable.
I think it's the craziest water event of my life. But I just want to say, maybe this will help with sponsorship for me in the future, that bathing suit stayed on. And I
it did. Those M's, they were like a gold M on the sides of your, and you know,
little, like,
for those
in
of
the
you that don't
front.
know, Ilana was pretty well put together. It still is, but
this was back in the day.
Back in the day when, that thing was not going anywhere. Oh, that was so funny. You know, the funny thing about it, we talk about it all the time. Whenever, because we're at the beach a fair bit, and so we're like, "Remember Ilana? Look, I'm Ilana." And it was when the water receded, you were literally in like a puddle of water. So it was a traumatic event, but you weren't like way out in the ocean.
No, but it's as if I were in my own bathtub.
It was literally happened in the tub. It was amazing.
But that's what I'm trying to explain. That my experience of it was completely, and then to come out and be like, "Hey guys, I don't know if you noticed, but like a minute ago,
I almost died, you guys." And we're like literally eating the same potato chip, watching the whole thing happen.
Well, yeah. So that's it. We're done.
Good.
Thank you for coming in.
Oh, my pleasure. See you later.
Was amazing.
Oh,
you're a great athlete, and I imagine as a kid, athletics where you grew up, wide open spaces, a more suburban scenario.
Right. Yep.
One of 6
kids. Yep.
Are they all in Newton still?
No, they're in. My parents split the summers in Situate, Massachusetts, which is on the South Shore.
Right.
Beautiful town where we grew up going to the beach, and they go to Florida in the winter.
So how did you go from a kid who I imagine is a jock, at least that's my fantasy of you,
half-assed,
to a kid who ended up in the theater department? Like, what was that journey for you?
I was a television fanatic in movies. I would go to the movies. That's all we did was go to the movies. We'd get somebody to take us to one theater or another where, they were sprinkled around, at the mall or whatever.
Yeah.
We would do that and spend all day in the theater, go from one movie to another, sneaking in the movie. It was so much easier to do all that stuff.
Legal.
That's not legal. We would sneak in everywhere. That's all we did. We never had any money, and so we would just go and figure out scams to sneak in ballparks and movie theaters and stuff.
Right.
And then I would watch TV all the time. I never did my homework. I never did. I played sports, but I wasn't that serious about it. I could kind of play everything, but I wasn't a star at anything, and so nobody cared whether I showed up or it was just another guy who could fill a slot. And I enjoyed all that, but so then I would go home and watch TV and stay up till 4 a.m. and watch old movies and then drive everybody crazy in my house because I couldn't get up the next morning and they were just like
screaming.
So it was, screaming and yelling, "Your ride's in the driveway." and then I don't know. And then I
Did you do plays in high school?
No, we didn't have any theater department. I went to this little high school that is now moved to another location and become much more, it's just a fancy prep school. I had the same teachers my dad had. I had these guys, like one of them was a guy named Monsignor Keating, James Keating, who was the chaplain for the Boston Fire Department, who would wear his fire boots. His nickname was Boots. And he had my father for a student. He used to drive my father to school when my dad was a kid. My dad and my uncle, my mother and my father grew up across the street from each other. And this guy used to pick them up and drive them to school, and he was still teaching when I was there. And my friends' fathers were in my dad's class, and this was a tiny little school.
So did you feel like 25 years later he still had passion for his job, or was he pretty sleepy by the time he was
a
here?
great guy. He taught modern European history, and he would he'd teach a little, and then he'd go, "Boys, we had a 3-alarm fire last night. I was up to my armpits in burning flesh."
Oh my
and then
God.
he'd describe that, and he'd go off, and all boys.
You were in an all
and
boys
small,
school.
I don't know, 15 kids. There were two. There was a standard and an honors class. Guess which one I was in.
Oh, I know which one you were in.
And then we were, a bunch of characters, and it was a weird little school.
Are you friends with anybody still that you went to high school with?
I live in New York, and they live wherever they live, and
do you want to give your address out?
411 Hauser Street.
Doogie Hauser Street.
Wait, was that Archie Bunker's Hauser? Anyway, what was Archie Bunker's address? He lived in Queens. We keep in touch.
So after you went to Catholic University,
mm-hmm.
you came to New York, and I feel like, forgive me if I'm wrong, but I feel like you lived like with Carney people in Coney Island or something.
I didn't live.
What?
I did. I lived with a guy.
You were
who
freak
shall
show?
remain nameless.
Okay.
He was sort of he could have been in the freak show.
Yes.
Which is why he'll remain nameless.
Yes.
Because I can talk about him.
Okay.
I used to call him the pink boneless hamster. He was the weirdest little dude to me. He looked like what a baby hamster would look like. You know, those little babies.
How did you even meet him?
We went to college together, and we weren't exactly tight, but you sort of close knit the theater department at school, and then we did this tour. A company called the National Players, and they would go out and do 2 plays. We did As You Like It and Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, and they travel around to colleges, mostly high schools, colleges, for like a year,
right,
around the country. Anyway, this guy was like, "Hey, if I ever got an apartment, you want to move in together?" And I said, "Yeah,
totally.
Sure, whatever." And then he actually called. I guess it was Gravesend. It's either Gravesend or Bensonhurst. It's kind of right on the line, Kings Highway and West 7th Street, on the N train, literally right on the N train, on the 5th floor walk-up. The train would go right by the window. It was like
that was like
worse
that
than the Woody
Allen
Allen movie. Yeah.
Well, worse because you were living with a blind baby hamster.
He wasn't blind. I didn't say anything about.
What did you say?
Those things are blind.
Pink.
He could see.
So you came to New York, and you.
I got a job. I drove a limousine.
You did?
Yeah.
Were you ever scared? Did anyone try to hold you up?
No, I drove a limousine for a minute for a state senator.
Really?
Forget his name. And I didn't know how to get anywhere. I didn't know. I lived here for like a
no
minute.
GPS
so he's
back
like,
then.
what the hell?
You're terrible.
Terrible.
Let me drive.
He was like, this isn't going to work out.
No.
When I got to New York, it was mostly waiting tables.
Right.
And then I got a job in a law firm. But it was a good job because there was a bunch of actors who were sort of shuffling papers around and doing all. So you could leave and go to, I took full advantage of that and ran around and did every backstage audition.
Is that how you started, from like getting backstage? Because you probably didn't have an agent yet, or
I think
did
I
you
got
come
a
with
job
an
out of
agent?
backstage once.
Did
a really
you?
bad production of a Genet play called, what the hell was it called? It wasn't The Maids, but it was something else. It was Death Watch, and it was super grim, French prison.
Death Watch? I thought Death Watch was a musical. Did you ever do a musical?
In junior high school, I was in the chorus of Bye Bye Birdie. That was my big debut.
Do you want to sing?
Hey, you stupid. Hey, you meathead. What'd you have to go get pinned for? I remember this.
I know, I'm not
Did
sure.
you hear about Doobie-Doo?
Hugo. Did you hear about Hugo and Kim?
Yeah, Hugo and Kim.
I heard about Kim. I just knew it somehow.
Hey, you stupid.
I was calling right up.
Hey, you dimwit.
Can't talk to you now. Go steady. We should do it.
We
do you
should.
want to do? First of all, it's time for you to be in a play again. This is ridiculous. What's happening? What's happening with that? Is it Bye Bye Birdie? Is Bye Bye Birdie coming up?
It's not Bye Bye Birdie, but it's going to happen. I can't say. It's not a. I'm told to keep my mouth shut.
Oh, we won't.